now that the recording has started, and how he's left the building. I mean, almost the building. He's left the podcast to me. It's going to be a good show tonight. I can't tell you yet, because this is the end of the episode and you've already watched it. So thanks for watching. Make sure you join us again next time on Beer, Blues, and BS. When Howard's here. And then we can make fun of him in person. But not really make fun of him. Because we don't really need to.
Do I even want to know what you were saying?
I don't know, do you?
I know you were talking because...
was I?
Yeah.
No.
I maybe was standing just right over here, off screen. And,
oh.
Saw you flapping the gums.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's okay. I'll get you back.
Legend tales of a place where the booze flows freely and the stories are always entertaining. If you were bold enough to seek out such a place, head 13 miles down the Tuscan Highway to a tiny blues joint known as the Townsmith Tavern. Once there, enjoy the ride. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and Bowl.
Excuse me, you can't say that. You're gonna lose your family-friendly rating. You're gonna corrupt the kids.
BS! A podcast that invites you to grab a cold beverage, pull up a seat, and enjoy time with friends. And here are your hosts, Howard Blues and the Mark Kidder.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beer, Blues, and BS, the podcast where both hosts were up until 1 a.m. last night, but for different reasons. I'm your host, Howard Blues, here, as always, with my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the cult of personality, the Mark Kidder. Kidder, how you doing tonight?
It's clobbering time! Woohoo! Here we are. Jacko! Howie Blues! Woo! I'm good now. I tell you, it was one shitty week in 2 days, but you know what? Damn it. At 9 o'clock Central Time, the week turned up. Woo! So I'm doing all right now. And if you can't tell, with the Knees to Faces shirt and the little logo here, that is right. CM Punk is back in the wrestling game. And here we go. Oh, yeah. It's time. AEW, baby. I have a reason to watch the show now. Well, 2 reasons, because Christian is also on the show and a slew of other former WWE superstars. But, man, woo, what a pop. That was awesome. And, we were talking a little bit before the show that it was kind of the world's worst kept secret over the past, month or so. But I'm just glad it actually turned out to be real. Because here we are. It is time to get rolling again with CM Punk and AEW. So I'll have to check out their product because tonight was the first time that I've seen any of their product since their debut episode. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it's improved or how it still sucks. Mm-hmm.
In fact, I'm kind of glad that he's back, at least in the sense that now my news feed will no longer be filled with, 5 different stories every day about, did CM Punk just reveal that he's coming back? Did Tony Khan just reveal that he's booked, CM Punk?
Mm-hmm.
What, WWE star is coming to AEW? Hint, it's in Chicago. It's like,
how are you doing?
Kidder, I'm hanging in there. It has been a week. I know I always say that, but it has been a week for reasons we will get to later in the show. But just to give you even an idea how my evening is going, Kidder. Here in Bismarck, we finally got rain.
Yes.
Much needed rain.
Mhm.
And pulled into my driveway this evening and opened the garage and was walking through the garage to get into my house. And I noticed that I had water that has leaked in from both my garage doors across my garage floor to the drain. And of course, I have boxes still on the floor waiting to be unpacked that were now soaked. So,
Awesome.
yeah. So, it's like I just got home from work, and the first thing I'm doing is I'm opening boxes, pulling stuff out, relocating some of it to new boxes because I wasn't ready for, to place them or things like that. Luckily, nothing damaged, nothing, basically just the boxes got wet. So, and I was just up there a little bit ago and my floor is drying out. So I'm guessing it was just a perfect combination of wind and rain and such. So great motivation to continue to unpack and to get those boxes off the floor.
That's a good thing to do, I suppose. But I'm more so curious as to how that actually happened. Like, how did all that water get in there? Because it shouldn't have.
I don't know. I'm gonna guess it has to do. There are a few cracks in my driveway that kind of lead into the garage, so I'm gonna guess it just kind of followed that crack in. And of course, my garage, as I said, I have a floor drain in it, so it slopes in. So once it gets into the garage, it's going to naturally run towards the drain. So, yeah, it's all right. As I said, no harm. I can't complain. So,
my question was, does that mean that it's time to open a drink?
No. We got to talk about something first, Kidder.
Oh, okay.
I know you want to get to that, but we got some poll results that we need to go over first.
Yes. Yes, the much anticipated poll results of the Star Trek versus the Star Wars. It is a war of the stars that we've trekked through.
Mm-hmm. And, normally, Kidder, we could probably get away with just, Howard the statistician to, give us the data. However, there was some shenanigans. So,
Oh, you gotta say something. He's taking off his shirt. He's got the damn ref shirt on.
That's right.
It's Howard the ref.
Yeah, Howard the ref has to come in and do some officiating here, Kidder, because shenanigans. So here's the thing, Kidder. I was looking over this as I've been kind of keeping track of the poll all week, and here's the thing. I happened to notice that our posts on said poll got about 60 engagements, right? So 60 people went and cast their vote. The problem is that we had like 253 responses on said.
Really?
Yeah. Now, here's the thing.
Okay.
Because I made the poll, and I tried to make it easy for people. And the thing about the Google Forms, which is what we had to use because we don't have a group, on there, for me to make it so that you could only make one response, you meant you had to log in with a Google account. Well, I didn't want anybody to be turned away because, I don't have a Google account. So I had to leave it open, but I put a nice little note on there, please only vote once. But, Kidder, it's pretty clear that if we only have 60 engagements with 253, there was some double, maybe triple, maybe quadruple voting. So, needless to say, Howard the Ref's official ruling is that we cannot truly determine a winner on this because shenanigans. Plus, let's face it, Kidder, there were some votes based on the whole cult of personality because some people left comments saying, Kidder rocks.
Are you kidding me?
No. Somebody literally.
Well, thank you to my fan club. Thank you.
So here's the thing. We can't officially determine a winner from Star Wars or Star Trek. But if you are curious what the responses came out to, Star Trek ended up winning like 92%, like 7%, which tells me this, and that is when it comes to the most honorable sci-fi series fans,
what?
These Star Wars fans are the most honorable because they only voted once apiece. The damn Star Trek fans, bunch of bloody cheaters. So, but that said, Kidder, a bet is a bet. And even though we can't officially declaim the official winner, tonight on What's on Tap, I have a Natty Light Seltzer Mango.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we know this isn't going to be good. I'm not going to bother reading the can, except for it says, Aloha Beaches, which is just a terrible pun. So cheers. That is pretty damn awful. Sucks to be a man of honor sometimes. Kidder, what do you have on tap?
I don't know if I can take a drink. I went with the old standby this evening of a Bud Select. So this Bud is for you, Jake. This Bud's for you.
Yeah.
I did in my last, or third to last captain's log. I had to remember how many I did there. Ended up having a what's on tap there, so that was one of the semi-local beers. So if you haven't seen that yet, feel free to check out Kidder's Captain's Log, the awesome videos that have all kinds of little morsels of fun in there. Let me tell you, if you're watching and paying attention, it's going to be a damn good 2 to 10 minutes of your time. Okay, one was like 20 minutes, but it's going to be a damn good time.
Yeah, that's actually, Kidder, why I have been up till like anywhere from like 12:30 till 1 in the morning, like every night this week, was to get those episodes out. Which is
just to do those, huh?
Just to do those. Well, here's the thing, because I do my editing in the evenings, like right now when Lefty and Junior go to bed. This is my time where I can sit and edit. And so to do all of these, I had to do them in the evening. And, originally when you and I were kind of spitballing this, I was thinking this is going to be really simple. Kidder's going to give me 2 to 3 videos a day, a couple of pictures, just boom, 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 boom. Shouldn't be too much.
And then I screwed it up.
You didn't screw it up. The problem got to be was episode 2 of it, because that one, like, I had one video that was like maybe a minute with the Kidder's intro. It was like a minute 46 was all that video is. I'm just like, oh my gosh. He did, you didn't even really like talk about panels or such, because it was like first thing in the morning. So it was like, oh yeah, there's this panel and this panel and this panel, but nothing, you couldn't give anything about it, or, like no details. So that kind of was like, oh my gosh, how do I save this video? How do I make it engaging when it's a minute 46 and not much? So that kind of unfortunately started me down the train of probably going a bit too far with some of this stuff. But yeah, there are little tiny Easter eggs and such hidden throughout, and it's not just visually. There's some great little audio things for those who are true Star Trek fans. You might pick up on some of the different sound effects used.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I there were a ton of them there. It's been awesome so far because when we're recording this, the final few have not yet been released. But when you're watching or listening to this, they are out. So go back, take a look at them if you haven't seen them.
Yeah, go back, take a look. Even if you're not really a Star Trek fan, we keep it actually fairly light on the, like the Star Trek stuff. But there are little Easter eggs, and there are some, Kidder, that I'm sure you haven't even found yet.
Oh.
There are all sorts of fun ones. I'll give you a great example, because this will be out a month from now, so people have had time to go check out Kidder's log. But in case you don't want a spoiler, in a episode, okay, so because I've been up late, I am totally lost in days and con days and anyway, it was the Friday. We recorded it on a Friday, so it would have been the one with Howard, because I was in it. You commented to me that you enjoyed a particular little Easter egg with a Borg cube.
Yes.
But I'll tell you, Kidder, if you go back and you watch really closely in the background, about the same time that Easter egg appears, you'll note that there is the flight of helicopters.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should watch the lead helicopter pretty closely.
I'll have to go back and watch that one again.
Yeah, there's a fun little tiny thing in there if you're watching that.
I was laughing how the fire was growing. That made me laugh. It continued to grow until I got tired of trying to. For those who don't know editing, so to pull off the fire thing, I basically had to create a mask so that every time that Kidder moved in what I would need to be in front of said fire, it would go behind him and not, show up like on his hand. And of course, there's a segment in there where Kidder is talking about one of the prop guys, and he was talking about the props. And so Kidder, all of a sudden, who doesn't normally do hand gestures, there's hand gestures like this. And I'm just like, my life. I had to sit there and trace around your fingers so many times that I questioned if that Christmas.
I questioned if that joke was worth it. So yes, Kidder, the fire grows, and then all of a sudden it shrinks to right at the right spot, so that I could stop having to mask around you.
I kind of noticed that it kind of died down a little bit. Didn't know if Las Vegas fire finally got unseen or something like that.
That's the story I'm going with.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's all of these fun little Easter eggs. There's kind of like a whole sub story that's going on, and I have to say this was all created because of what Kidder sent me. So, because the first video in it is probably the truest to what I thought this series was going to kind of look like and be like. Some videos, some pictures, a little bit of graphic work, done.
Exploding engines.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, little touches, like the exploding engine bit in the first one was not hard. I maybe spent 30 minutes to pull that off. Not hard, right? But because of, as I said, that second episode, having to make something of it and then just kind of crew because it's like, well, I added all these special things in for episode 2. Now I have to carry this through. And Kidder, I resized so many photos. I can tell you, and I know you've used Premiere, you know that there's the position numbers and then the scale numbers. So the position numbers are 804 by 493, and the scale size is 28 because I had to sit and enter that in so many times until I eventually learned that I could paste attributes. Yeah.
If you had asked me, I probably could have told you that, but that's okay. I'm glad that you got the crash course of Premiere.
I figured it out. You know, I will say I learned quite a bit of new things doing this because I kept coming up with ideas. I'm like, can I make that happen? Can I make this work? I think I can make this work. And sometimes that led me down a rabbit hole of things. So, but yes, if you haven't checked it out, or if you're just one of our fantastic audio listeners, hey, take some time. Go check these out, even if you're not a Star Trek fan. They're fun. They're good. And Kidder, I don't know if I will ever do this again. So
so they're going to be archived, and we'll just use them again next year. Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if we do some actual like pre-planning and make up some graphics ahead of time, I would maybe consider it because that could speed things up. The other thing that would help me out, and I'll say this because this is probably the thing I wasted the most time on, Kidder. You, of course, being a Star Trek fan, could easily look at those photos and go, oh, that's so-and-so. And that's so-and-so. And that's so-and-so. I could not.
Yeah, I suppose.
I spent a lot of time comparing your photos, which, for those who haven't seen it, Kidder's like in a massive ballroom, probably, 50 yards from the stage? Ish? Maybe?
Yeah, sure. Rough estimate. We're in like the second section back, so however many.
Right. So these are like phone photos from 50 yards, kind of blown up. So they're not the best quality. They're not terrible, but they're not the best. And then trying to compare that to the headshots that were in the program, to which I will say, hey, if you're an actor out there, it's okay to put an updated headshot in. There were some of those, Kidder, that had to have been like 30, 40 years old.
Really?
Yeah. In the if you go to the 55-year mission page and look up their special guests, it has the headshots. And some of them, yeah. It's like back from when like when they were actually on the show. So you're sitting there like, huh.
They're 20-plus-year-old photos. Gotcha.
Yeah, and so you're trying to like, compare that photo to this image that you took and go, I think that could be the same person. I'm not sure. Sometimes I had to Google search and like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, there's a more recent thing. Yep, that's so and so. So that was probably the biggest time sink, was just trying to figure out who was who in some photos. So
I was trying to get or time it as best I could when the rubes running the audio video equipment would put their names up on the bottom, but they would usually put it up once and it was like 5 seconds and gone, just done. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. As I said, this is one of those things where if we do it again in the future, we just need to do some planning to kind of figure out a strategy for that. Because that would have saved, quite a bit of time in the process. If I could when I could figure it out, when it was very clear, it's like, okay, you're so-and-so. Done. Not hard.
Yeah, so we'll get you get you that next time. So sorry about that.
Right. Hey, this for those who don't know, we kind of came up with this like the week before you went, so there wasn't a whole lot of discussion about what we were going to do. So one of the things, Kidder, you'll notice is that some of these, especially as you get into these later episodes, there's a few things that are different. There's not a fixed format. Like the one that came out tonight. I don't know if you've seen tonight's one, the gala one.
I have not. I shared it, but I haven't watched it yet.
One, it's got one of my favorite Easter eggs that I put in there, which is really easy to spot, so you can't miss it. But I did it differently, than how the rest were. So, people can look at that and such. And I would say for those who are watching this, let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, so that if we do this again, it gives us an idea of what kind of format worked best. So there you'll see some different formats as you go through. So
yeah, leave us a comment. Which episode is your favorite? You could comment on the episode itself. Say, hey, this is my favorite. Or you can also comment on this episode. Tell us which episode was your favorite. And we always love if you give us a thumbs up and a share. Thanks.
Yeah. And and just, or if there was a bit or a part of something that you liked, let me know. And I will admit, Kidder, as the guy who stayed up very late editing these things, they're not perfect. There are errors. In one episode where there were speech bubbles, there's a pretty big typo.
Yeah.
Cut me some slack. I was probably at 12:45 in the morning going, oh my gosh, I just need this speech bubble and such. It gets down to that. If I wanted these to be perfect, it would have been in a massive amount of time to do some of that. So there's some glitches, there's some errors, there's some things. But overall, I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with some of the Easter eggs and such throughout. Though that's probably been some of my favorite bits, and then the whole Borg kind of storyline that runs through it.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Kidder, of the episodes you have seen so far, any highlights, any things that have really stood out for you that you're like, this is great, this is fantastic, I like this? Because I haven't really got to talk to you about this. So
yeah, I mean, there's so many just pieces layered in. That's really, I don't want to say nice, because that's too weak of a term. They're just awesome videos. You sit and watch, and I was laughing. The missus was laughing. The Borg drone in the closet was laughing. Stuff like that. Everybody was having a good time. Of course, the engine exploding about the right time. That it caught me off guard. I was, giggling that the Enterprise D is on there floating around. The Borg cube trying to assimilate portions of Las Vegas. I mean, I couldn't have set you up better with that background. I mean, and it just looks like the cars are just flying, trying to get away from it. So it's great. The helicopters and everything. So I guess some stuff just naturally works, but it was fun. The view screen, of course, where it looks like I'm actually talking to you, through the Enterprise D view screen, So there are those little things in there.
I do like that one purely because I labeled the whole episode the one with Howard, and I show up at the very end and I say one line, and then it's
Yep.
It's yep, Howard was there briefly.
I was half expecting that, to be completely honest, because I didn't even, I remember recording it with you, but I didn't even remember what we were talking about and stuff, just because it was this and this and done and on to the next thing and trying to figure everything else out.
Yeah. I originally was going to cut that one earlier because where you said, comments, questions, concerns. I was going to cut it right before that because I'm like, well, that's not in line with this. But then it was just, it I kind of watched a little bit further because I was looking. We had a bit of a conversation, you and I, about if you were doing the yoga class that was offered, because I was looking at the schedule, and that wasn't there, but I was looking like, did I say that right after that? Because if so, I'm extending it to talk about that. And
was it after we stopped recording?
I think it was after we stopped recording, which is a shame because that would have been good. But I was looking for that. But I liked the fact that you're like, da da da, and I'm just like, yeah, right. I'll get right on that.
Wrap it up. Done.
It just was like, okay, I'm going to leave that in. I'm going to label it that so that fans of the show will be like, and you know what? I've been showing these to my wife every night, and I got to a point where during that episode, I'm like, so are you wondering when I show up yet? She's like, yeah, kind of.
Perfect. Exactly what we're going for.
Yep. So, no, it's great, but I have been finding I just kind of always want to, like, as each one has come out, it's like I so want to know Kidder's reaction to each of these, because it's, that's the sometimes the fun part. And again, we talk about feedback all the time. Feels like I've been making these in a vacuum. Well, in this case, in my basement, like all by myself, and putting them out there. And I'm just like, somebody please say you like these.
Please leave a thumbs up and a comment, please.
Yeah, because I was up last night till 1 a.m, finishing the last two, and that the storm rolled through. Woke up Junior.
Yeah.
So my wife, was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get him," and she looked at the clock and she saw what time it was, and she's like, she came all the way down. And I'm still sitting there. Come on, almost done. She's like, do you know what time it is? I'm like, yes, but I'm like 2 minutes away from being done.
just about there.
So tired of Trek.
I think you're just learning to love it more. That's what it is.
As I said, by the time I was done with all of it, I was kind of like, okay, I'm done. And I think it's just because, like, I've been looking at kind of the same screen and the same graphics and all of that. So I have enjoyed every little different thing that you have sent me, because that's part of what has dictated the story. The Enterprise following your guys' flight path and the engine blowing up is because you sent me video that had that, but you sent me the screenshot of the flight path. I'm like, oh, sweet, I can do this. You gave me that. There's been some other things that you have done, like some stuff with the tube, which I don't want to give spoilers away, but Kidder sent me like 4 photos. Well, I think you sent me 3 photos, and I maybe went out and snagged one off your Facebook page to complete a little comic story. That was in episode 3. Yeah. So fun little things like that. But it will be interesting to see what you think of these last ones, because some bits and pieces that you probably think will be in an episode maybe shows up in a later episode and not where you're expecting, but it tells the story better. So just roll with it, man. Just roll with it.
It's what I do anyway. Just rolling. What we should have had also for the episode where you showed up is it should have said, get Howard's reaction to finding out something about Star Trek or some stupid thing, so that we can beat the YouTube algorithm finally. Get big.
I'm not going to lie. Writing the descriptions on these videos has not been great, because, again, I'm doing this. It's usually the last thing I do. Because what I've been doing is I've been editing them, and then the next night they render, and then the next night, while I set the one up to render, I post the other one and get it set to go, and then I start editing. So a lot of times it's like I'm already like, okay, I need to get started. So something quick, something pithy. But it's been now like 2 days since I've edited this, and as I said, I've been having a hard time keeping track of, the days of the con versus the days of the week versus the day that they're airing versus the episode. I couldn't tell you
Yeah.
what day I did some of these. It's just kind of a blur. So I am so looking forward to going back to just editing the podcast.
Just this show. Yeah. No, it's awesome. You put a lot of work into it, and that is freaking awesome. So thank you for doing that. You know, it's the fun thing of even me trying to read the star date and remember it between looking at it and then actually saying it, because the read and store and recall, I don't know, it's not quite working so well as it used to. So there's supposed to be a 0 after the 75. So after the third day, I think we started getting that. I started getting that.
You had it by the second day, but the first day, I remember you sending me, it's like, I have said the wrong start. 2 out of the 3 videos. And it's one of those, like, I think you said you labeled one of them with the correct star date. But at that point, I wasn't putting that up all the time. I was just like, meh, because that was in the first video. I'm like, meh, we're fine. We don't need to do that. This is going to just be kind of this. And again, it wasn't until we hit that second one, I'm like, I need more content to make this work. But I thought I came up with a very clever solution to that whole missing content. That was fun. I like that bit. That's probably one of my favorites, is the end of episode 2. And
that's what happens when the two of us get on the same wavelength. We have some moments of genius, and this wonderful thing comes about. What are we talking about? Go look right now. Watch it on YouTube. At least listen to it on your favorite audio listening source. But
we have not put. Yeah, we haven't put them out as the audio podcast. The only place to get the Kidder's Log is actually on our YouTube channel. So you'll have to go and check them out. So yeah, again, if you're an audio listener, go spend some time with these. As I said, my wife has been laughing at all of them. She actually told her dad, who also enjoys Star Trek, like, hey, you know, Howard and Kidder are doing this Kidder's Log thing from the Star Trek convention. And as geeky as that sounds, go check it out. It's actually a lot of fun. And as I said, I tried to put in humorous little bits, humorous pieces. There are Easter eggs in there to find. Kidder, I'll even give you one more hint. There are Easter eggs in some of the thumbnails for the videos. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So all sorts of things and such. So yeah, a lot of fun if you're a Star Trek fan. A lot of fun if you just like to hunt Easter eggs, and if you enjoy a good laugh and you enjoy our usual banter. I have my way of getting involved with some of the banter. Future Howard maybe didn't say much during this, but he made his presence known.
It's good. It's good.
It is.
I was sitting there trying to record them, and of course after, well, let's see, the first one was just like, yep, gonna get the hell out of here and done with it. And then about an hour later is the second video, and not because we landed in Denver, but because we landed back at Bismarck. What's the story? Why did I almost die? Well, you can find that out in the Kidder's Log. Just go to YouTube and search Beer, Blues, and BS. Or if you're already here on YouTube, click the Beer, Blues, and BS right down below here, and then check out our other episodes. Please give us a subscribe and give us a thumbs up.
Yeah. So, Kidder, as you know,
yes.
We've been talking a lot about Blues Traveler the last few weeks because I reviewed their newest album. And then last week I got to tell you that they had the #1 blues album. And this week I get to tell you that their tour bus crashed in Winona, Minnesota on the way to Rochester for a gig. John Popper, it crashed. I don't have the exact details because I have been so into Kidder's log that I haven't had a chance to read past the headlines. But yeah, apparently their bus went off the road, jumped a median, ended up in a ditch. There were several people injured, including John Popper, the lead singer of Blues Traveler. But they should have been performing tonight in Rochester, and they were going to try to have the show. So he must be doing okay. But it was kind of a, quite the incident from all it sounds. And, John Popper did make a post on their official Facebook page, which was kind of weird, kind of cryptic. But part of it, the other thing of interest is we are right around the anniversary of the death of Blues Traveler's original bass player, Bobby Sheehan, who died of an overdose. So part of Blues Traveler's post about this was, Bobby, we almost got to come see you. So,
So I, as you were setting that up, and I was listening, I pulled up an article from Variety on it, which was last updated on August 19th. Thursday morning, apparently, was the time of the crash. Minor injuries, thankfully. The bus was the only vehicle involved, went off the road, crossed the median. According to that, or according to this article, I should say, is the band and the crew ended up being trapped in the bus until law enforcement and other first responders were able to extricate them from the bus. And like you said, the cryptic post, bus just crashed, don't know what's going on, everything hurts, I think we're stuck on the bus, we'll all get checked, but trying to get the door open. More later. And then on the same thread, he apparently added, got door open, got off the bus, ribs hurt. Saying that someone known as Mateo having a dislocated shoulder, everything exploded. And then another comment from John is saying that he rode in an ambulance. They tried putting my neck in a brace, got nauseous, dizzy, and started fainting, so I'm in the hospital. 4 hours after the initial post, a follow-up message came out, and getting tested at the ER, all looking good. Blood sugar is ridiculously high. Statement from Blues Traveler as a band. The band and crew are shaken but are safe and will perform as scheduled in Rochester. So hopefully all is still fine since they're supposed to be performing this evening. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. And if you remember, that's how Cliff Burton, the original bassist of Metallica, ended up passing away as they were on tour over in Europe, and their tour bus ended up going all over the place and flipping and killing Cliff Burton.
Yeah. So anyway, interesting in that, and it was just some news to share. I did say, Kidder, last week that I would give a short and quick review of their 2018 album that I had also picked up at the same time as Traveler's Blues. This is called Hurry Up and Hang Around. And, when it comes to listening to Blues Traveler, Kidder, I always find that usually, like, my first listen through an album, I'm really just going to pick up, like, the one or two really good, like, songs that are just going to be fabulous. And then on further listens, others will pop out to me, being able to kind of hear the lyrics a little bit more and that and fall in love with them. So I got to say, on this album, their first song on the album, Accelerated Nation, clearly right off the bat, my favorite song on the album. It is a banger right off the beginning. So absolutely love it. But then there's some other great ones as I've been listening to this, things like When You Fall Down, which is a great kind of funky song about how the party begins when you fall down. It's got quite a bit of Blues Traveler's traditional kind of oddball humor that they sometimes work into some of their songs. So I enjoyed that. The other big standout song on here that I really am enjoying is called Daddy Went a Giggin'. And it's basically a song to a kid about, hey, you know, dad's on the road because he's a musician and going on gigs. But it's this great mix of Blues Travelers kind of normal sound. And again, because they're experimental, they're playing with kind of like a children's kind of like folk song, almost kind of like a Johnny Crack Corn, you know. So the basic melody is, you know, very much that. I can't do it. I heard it earlier, but anyway, it's that, you know, kind of very much that Daddy Went a Giggin', you know, Daddy will come back, but it's to this very folksy sound and very kind of playful in some of that. So absolutely loving that song as well. So overall, pretty standard Blues Traveler album, you know. Probably, you know, not kind of in my top 5 of Blues Traveler albums, but there's some good songs on here. And I'm going to continue listening to it, but enjoyable. And it's very much as I usually expect with them, kind of a very experimental, trying different sounds, different instrumentation and lyrics, and has some of their humor worked in, and it's a very, very enjoyable. So having fun with that.
I'm happy that you get to check that out.
Yeah. Always glad when I get more Blues Traveler.
I was, well, let me back up just a second. So on the Killer Kidder Show playlist on Spotify, you know, you can follow my playlist and check out the many hours of music. I'm saying that installing to try and get to it. So it's 351 hours and 25 minutes now of music. So you got a little bit of time to listen to some quality music. And then, of course, there you go. There again, you can see the Killer Kidder Show on Spotify. The reason to bring that up and talking about Blues Traveler is I added their new album, the covers album, to my playlist there. And I can't remember if I added some of the other older albums as well, but when I was cutting the grass yesterday, listening to music on shuffle from the Killer Kidder Show playlist, Blues Traveler song came on, which I am certain was from that new album, and I rather enjoyed it. Also heard the cover, one of the other covers that I knew, one of the newer songs from, you know, a year or two ago, which wasn't. I still don't really like the song itself, but their cover made it better and tolerable. So,
are you talking? I was going to say, are you talking their cover of Gnarls Barkley's "Crazy"?
Yes, that one. Mm-hmm. Thank you. See, I already forgot about it.
Yeah. No, that is a very good album. And as I said, you know, Kidder, if you ever want some other great Blues Traveler songs, I got plenty of them for you, and I may have used one or two as quotes at your wedding. You know, it's so that yeah, I think I quoted Random Amounts, which is one of my favorite songs of theirs. It's basically about a guy who invents a time machine and goes back in time and makes himself wealthy, but he messes up the entire timeline, and it kind of then runs through like all of the ripples of him doing this and all the trouble it's caused and all of that. But it's got a really kind of interesting beat and such to it, and some other kind of oddball lines. But But my favorite bit of it is at the very end when they're ending it, because it just kind of ends. But the very last line is, John and his friends never did anything. They just sat and read quietly to themselves. And it's kind of a reference to the band.
All right.
It's just kind of funny because it's been all these wild and crazy things that have happened to these people. And then it gets and it's like John and his friends just sat reading quietly to themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all right.
It's a good one.
I did enjoy their New Year's Eve set. Ended up catching that on cable. Saw that on New Year's Eve. So that was part of my New Year's celebration this year is this, 2020 into 2021 of getting to watch Blues Travelers perform at the Red Rocks Amphitheater. So that was a good little show. The few segments or songs that were performed. So good stuff there. Like it.
Yeah. No. They're a great band. I enjoy them immensely. So.
Well, we're also talking about blues. I just wanted to bring this up because I haven't shared it with you yet. And it is also Star Trek related, so you get to have a little bit more Trek fun this evening. If you remember seeing the photos of Casey Biggs and Vaughn Armstrong, they would have been members of the Rat Pack, but Casey Biggs also played Damar, one of the Cardassians, and Vaughn Armstrong currently holds the record for the most aliens played in Star Trek at 14 throughout the different series. And he also played a human, Admiral Forrest, in the Enterprise series. Anyway, there's also a couple other actors, including Richard Hurd, who played Admiral Paris, Tom Paris's father in Star Trek Voyager, and Ronald B. Moore, one of the writers for several of the series. Not Ronald D. Moore, who is another one of the producers and show writers. Ronald B. Moore. I guess just a little bit of fun with William Jones and Steve Rankin as well. But they not only do the Rat Pack, is what they call it, because it's in Vegas. And so they typically get 4 people together. So like I said, Vaughn Armstrong and Casey Biggs, and then Jeffrey Combs, who plays the second most number of different aliens in Star Trek. I suppose most notably the Ferengi Brunt and the Vorta Wayun. Then the other is Max Skrodonchek, who plays the Ferengi Ram from Deep Space Nine. So the 4 of them are the primary members of the Rat Pack, and they sing a bunch of different songs that have Star Trek. They wrote the lyrics to. Max actually wrote the lyrics to all of the songs. They put the music to it, different things through all of the series. One of them, in fact, is called Batleth Baby, talking about marrying a Klingon woman. So, stuff like that. Anyway, long story short, they are also in a band, the Enterprise Blues Band. And as you can see, you got the signatures, Casey Biggs and Vaughn Armstrong. And here's a quick look at the back of it. This is their original album that they came out with. I did not pick up their second album, but I picked up their brand new album that just came out, the Intergalactic Cats, from the Enterprise Blues Band. And then there's a little bit of an updated photo for you of Casey and Vaughn, and then our friend Steve doing some lead backup vocals, acoustic and electric guitar, and playing the mandolin and the bass. So I haven't listened to these specific albums because there's just some different music on here, but looking forward to actually listening to these. And I'll share those with you as well.
That'd be good. That'd be good.
There's that. happy to say that. I mean, I'm happy and I'm not happy to be back home. You know, it's always fun being on location and going down and just enjoying some time with some other fellow nerds and talking about nerddom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can see that.
But I guess that's why I have so much fun with this show.
I see. Lumping me in with you and your dishonorable Trekkie fans.
Oh, man. You know, maybe it's because I handed out business cards at the con. Hey, go vote. But it's just a link. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. We'll see. Maybe we'll have to find a more honorable poll service and try. Speaking of it, my executive director actually stopped in and talked to me on Monday, and he goes, "I voted in your poll." He goes, "But I do it under protest." He said, and I can agree with this. He goes, "You can't compare these two, right? They're different. Mm-hmm. They're even in the science fiction genre, these are completely different subgenres. Star Trek would be considered probably more of your hard science military fiction. I know it's not very like army fighting military, but it did, the fleet, that it's got that military feel. Whereas Star Wars is space opera. It's fantasy in space. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. And both are good, but they're different. They're different entities. They're movies versus, a predominantly TV series. Now that they both kind of have had some crossovers with that. But he said they're different. He goes, so there's no way to pick one over the other. It's like comparing apples and oranges. And I told him, I said, we agree. I said, this is more about just us having some friendly banter and engaging our audience. So, no pain, no hard feelings. Although I am absolutely hating this mango Natty Light Seltzer.
I'm actually proud of you that you haven't completely choked on it or puked, because I don't know if it was the bubbles, the nasty natural flavors that came with it or something, but it absolutely killed me. Of course, the previous episode. What episode am I talking about? Well, head over to YouTube and check out our past episodes, and I'm sure you'll guess just by the title.
It'd be episode 9, Wrath of Cherry Lime.
Well, go ahead. Thanks for ruining it. No, I'm just kidding. I do have to share one thing though, because this would be for your director, and I'm hoping, yes, I can find it. We are part of the same universe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I didn't know if you knew that, but
I did.
We are one and the same of nerddom.
Yeah, I knew that. I also believe, because of the different parts kits off of models that ILM uses, that there are parts of that Borg cube that actually come off of the Falcon as well, the Falcon model kit. So
I wouldn't doubt it. There's a ton of parts that were used for the cube. So several of the cubes, because they made a bunch of them and then blew a couple of them up. So there's that.
Yeah, because ILM did special effects on both. And Adam Savage, if you ever have checked out his YouTube channel, Tested, There's a
No,
couple times
I only go to Beer Blues and BS on YouTube.
Yeah, well, if you ever decide to stray a little bit, he talks about his time at ILM, and they just had I'm trying to remember. I think he said it was like a loft, kind of above their workshop. It was just model kit after model kit after model kit after model kit, stacked by what they are, and that's how they would build so many of these spaceships and things. Is they would just go up and they would take model kits out and I like this bit, I like that bit, I like this, and they would do their magic of kit bashing and gluing them together and such. But yeah, no, I knew about the hidden Millennium Falcon in that scene. So yeah, as I said, it's all fun. We poke fun at each other. Actually, you know what, Kidder? In all of our 19 years of being friends, actually, this is really the only time that we have actually debated Star Wars versus Star Trek. Like, we've never done it before. We've never had that argument. We've never, no, mine's better until the last.
Until you brought it up.
Actually, you brought it up.
I brought it. Oh no, I just made a statement.
Pretty sure I showed you all of my boxes packed, and you made a comment about how some of those Star Wars items were meant for the trash.
Maybe. I mean, it's plausible. I was fatigued at the time.
Pile of boxes has already started. It feels like I'm coming to you live from a warehouse.
I see some Star Wars stuff there. Is that stuff supposed to be in the garbage, or I kid?
Kidder, I didn't want to go there, but I'll bring it up now. It's about damn time, but we're getting a fourth Star Trek movie in this excellent new rebooted series. I am excited about it, Kidder. Waiting for those lens flares. Oh, it's going to be spectacular. Sure. So you've started this, and I am paying the price of drinking in Natty Light, although it is gone. So.
That's for you.
Yeah. So, speaking of fights, Kidder,
huh.
I had an interesting experience just yesterday on my way to go pick up Junior from the in-laws and daycare. So, heading from the Heritage Center, going up State Street, make a right-hand turn on Divide. And if you've ever turned on to Divide from State Street, you know that it goes kind of downhill and then kind of dips and then heads back uphill. Right there. So as I'm coming up that hill, all of a sudden at the top of the hill, I see this dog just dart across traffic, not caring about any of the cars, just right across. And of course I look to see, is somebody following this dog? Is this a loose dog? Is it? And I see a teenager running towards the road, and of course he stops at the road because traffic. And I get up, closer to the situation, and I actually stop and block traffic so this teenager can run across. But there's this poor gal, this dog walker. She's got 3 dogs on her leash, and this dog had run across and basically started a little dog brawl.
Really?
Yeah. And this poor girl got pulled over, like she fell down because these dogs were just gone. And she lost hold of one of them, and they ended up kind of going right out into the street. And so I was blocking traffic one way. There was a truck on the other side that blocked traffic until the teenager and this gal could separate their respective pets. But she seemed to be okay and all of that. But just goes to show why you should always pay attention to the road, because you never know what's gonna happen. But it was quite the occurrence. So
yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, I thought that, or I was waiting, I should say, that you got out and used your dog whispering skills and just calm the dogs down and get them back to their respective corners before ringing the bell again.
You know, it happened so fast and all of that by the time I was like, if I would have gotten out, it was over by then. So,
well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like anybody got hurt or any of the dogs got hurt. So, but yeah, always, as I said, just an exciting drive home. So
every day is an exciting day. That's for sure. At least for us. I don't know. We seem to run into the weird stuff. Maybe with having you back here, Bismarck has changed into the Barrens because of you. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh.
It kind of seems that way, though. Every once in a while, you get people following you around and things. I don't know if anybody really asks you for help and then just goes off and it leaves you, but
yeah. For those who aren't picking up on it, Kidder is talking about back in our college days when we played World of Warcraft, and as I think we've said on the show before, I have this weird, strange ability to attract the strangest of people. I don't know what it is, but that would happen to me in World of Warcraft, where people would. Yeah, I just attracted people, and it was
just gravitate to you. Hey! Can you help me? Please help me! Help me! Fine. Okay, I'm just gonna go over here and do this. No, you shouldn't do that. Well, it's fine. Is it? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had somebody, and I don't think English was their first language, but yeah, they had asked me for help, and I helped them on the quest, and we completed the quest, and we were leaving, but for some reason they didn't complete the quest, and so they came back and were like asking me to help them again, and I'm like, no, we did this. I don't know. Go away. So I may have ran into the quest area, aggroed everybody, and then ran out and left. Yeah. It's one of those things. Yeah, that's not my favorite though. Right. World of Warcraft memory. My favorite, and we've talked about, was you and our friend Curtis were always like 10 levels above me. So anytime that I'd hop on, it's like, oh yeah, get rid of the guy. Oh, you guys are doing this? Okay. I was like the little brother tagging along, like I couldn't do anything. And it would never fail. Like you guys would go out, do a bunch of quests, and you'd come back to like one of the major cities, and you had to turn them all in. And I would just end up sitting and like waiting for sometimes 15, 20 minutes for you guys. So it became my thing to try and climb to the highest point I could. And one time it was, I think, in the Undercity. I got as high as I could. And then you guys still weren't done. So I sat there and did a little macro building. And eventually you guys were like, okay, hey, we're done. Howard, where are you at? I'm like, look up. You guys look up, and there I am at the top. And as soon as you guys looked up, I hit the trigger for it, which the trigger was to cause my character to wave and shout out to the world, goodbye, cruel world. And then I proceeded to jump off the high ledge and fall. So, yeah, I created a suicide macro.
And he still didn't get banned by Blizzard. What's funny is that more people started to try and figure out how to do that, and then they started jumping off after you did. So again, you attracted the weirdos, except you're just leading them all to their death. You're like some twisted cult leader. Just in video games.
And not of my own intention. I'm like the guy who, like, hey, we're here to follow you in your cult. I don't have a cult. We're here to follow you. I don't have teachings. We're here to follow you.
You're going to get very bored very quick. It's whatever. I mean, I think we had a good time. And on top of, the weird things happening and always paying attention, like you were saying, and we've discussed in the Kidder's logs. Of course, leaving to go to Vegas. We take off. We're crossing the Morton County, Burleigh County, Sioux County-ish line area, and all of a sudden, and I'm like, we just blew an engine. Mrs. almost ripped my arm off because if she hadn't grabbed my arm, she'd have went straight through the fuselage on the plane. So there's that. And like, oh, like, it's fine. We have another engine. Don't worry about it. Just calm down. It's fine. And so then, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, maybe we'll just land because we didn't lose a wing because I could see it out my window. Fine. The engine is in the back. It's a CRJ. So I'm like, maybe we'll just land. And then we, take this long lackadaisical, just roundabout way. And I'm like, oh, we're burning off fuel in case we have to really ditch this thing. And then we don't explode. So I told the missus, and she's like, what do you mean so we don't explode? I'm like, it's fine. Just sense of humor. It's okay. We're fine. We have one other engine on the other side. It's fine. So then we come in, land, and we had the whole Bismarck Fire Department there, Metro Ambulance. I think Real Fire was there. The airport fire and rescue were there. Airport security, Bismarck PD, the Highway Patrol was called in. I think they had their search plane on standby just in case they needed to search a crash scene or something. I mean, like, everybody was there. So I was like, oh, hey, they knew that we were coming back. Look at that. It's nice of them to meet us all here with the lights on. I mean, how did they know that I like seeing all the red and blue flashing lights? It just warms my heart. So we get off the plane, and they are looking at the plane, and you got to watch the episode so you can see some of the photos and whatnot. We go to the ticket agent to try and figure out how we can get to Vegas now, and talking with the poor lady. There were 3 of them there, and they were all having to call the airline employee line to get this all sorted out, because on the system doesn't work for that specific incident. I'm guessing because they needed another plane, but wasn't going to get there in time. So we ended up getting switched over to another airline. And the funny thing about that is the last time that we flew that airline, we lost an engine on the ground. So that was in Minneapolis. That was a different story for a different time, and not going to the con. So that was interesting. But we fly finally down there, eventually get to Vegas about 12, 13 hours after we were supposed to get there in the first place, if you go by Pacific time. I got to the room and all that late, and whatever, had a good time. Stayed there, end up coming back, no issues from Vegas to Denver. Some heavy chop on the way due to some thunderstorms and other turbulence over the mountains, which is pretty standard. So then we go to our gate, which we landed at, I think we were on gate 6. And if you're familiar with the Denver airport, they have essentially terminals just for each airline. So the Frontier Air terminal is on one side, and then you can cross over, and the United terminal is there, and then you can cross over in like the Delta terminal, and I think they might have another one for the rest of the airlines, whatever. So all of the specific airlines for Frontier and United for sure, and probably Delta, are in the rows. So we land at 6. We're leaving at 93. The complete other end. We had, because we were a little bit late coming in, 57 minutes to get to the other plane before it took off. And we were hungry. So we ran, grabbed some Chick-fil-A, because it was nice and tasty, ran to the gate, and I'm like, wait a minute. Once you hit like 60, it goes to 1972. And by that, I mean, it's like the old terminal where the air conditioning doesn't quite work so well. And in the winter, it's like 50 degrees over there because the heat doesn't work so well. And you're on the ground. So when you're looking at the planes, you go outside and have to board the plane like you used to have to do. It's no jetway. It's you walk through this little outdoor tunnel and then you get onto the plane. And of course, when you're looking at the plane through the windows and the nose is right here, you're like, man, if that plane didn't have brakes, it would just straight through. Anyway, so 1972, we were eating our food. I checked the app. Our plane is 36 minutes late on arrival, coming from Billings. And I'm like, that's interesting. They should be able to make up some time. I look 15 minutes later, they're now 37 minutes late. I'm like, how do you lose time in the air? You're supposed to fly faster. They purposely do that. So, plane finally shows up. They clean it. We get on. And I'm like, this is very reminiscent of what we experienced leaving Bismarck, because we're on a CRJ like 900, I think. It's the small CRJs. So my head sitting in the chair like this is basically touching the bulkhead on top. And of course, there is a dude right behind us who was freaking out the whole time and grabbing the chairs and putting his knees in the back. So I'm sitting here doing this the whole time, and we haven't even left the ground yet. I'm like, come on. So we start flying. The poor flight attendant starts serving drinks, and she makes it about a third of the way into the plane, literally 2 rows in front of us. And all of a sudden, the plane starts doing this. And she's holding on to the bulkhead, just waiting, either for it to stop or for the captain to say, yep, go back up to your jump seat. Captain comes on. If you could please return to your jump seat. Again, a little bit of turbulence here, and seatbelt sign is going to be on for a little while here until we get out of the jump. All advice. So yeah, another 20 minutes went by, and then she was able to finish her drink service. But it was just one of those things. So I'm continuing to tell this story because, again, on a plane, much like the ill-fated plane that we were on, leaving Bismarck. So we're coming into Bismarck, and of course, Captain gets on again. All right, everybody. Just let you know, about 20 minutes being on the ground in Bismarck. Current temperature is 78 degrees. Wind out of the west at 26, gusting to 39. So we'll get you on the ground as soon as we can, and shortly. Let's prepare for a round. So I look over at the missus and I go, this one's going to be a little bumpy. What? You heard the captain, right? Well, yeah. Like, the wind's gusting to almost 40. Oh. It like clicked. So we're coming in on final. Back and forth, back and forth. Here we go. We're coming across from the northwest trajectory, if you will, if you're familiar with the different flight plans into Bismarck. And so this one is where you get the full tour out and around over Mandan, and you're coming in over the northwest portion of Bismarck, crossing past the Capitol and the Missouri, and you look at there's the Lewis and Clark Riverboat and the Memorial Bridge. And then as you get closer and lower, then there's Kirkwood Mall, and okay, there's the trailer court. And then pretty soon you are landing on the main runway at the airport. As we're coming up to, I would say, just past the trailer court to Airport Road, which is the edge of the airport property, I feel and hear the engines power up and steep dive, or climb, ascent, not a dive, and we're going around everybody. I'm like, are you shitting me? We can't land now. Great. And everybody else is like, what's going on? Oh, we didn't land. And I'm like, we're either burning off fuel because we're going to explode, or it's just too high. So, yep, we got the full rest of the tour of Bismarck as we came around the east-northeast portion of town and got to take a look at everything out there, and then try the old approach once again. And yes, we landed. And as we're doing the final float right before touchdown, I was expecting it to be a lot harder, especially for the amount of sway that we had as we were coming in because of the crosswind. It was a very nice touchdown. So I applaud our captain for giving us that privilege of getting us on the ground safely. And then he jammed the brakes. So you hear everything start slamming forward, and everybody, it's so. The interesting trips. I mean, the times that we've taken trips together, we've never had that sort of fun. So, I don't know. I mean, I think the most interesting thing that we've come across is passing the hearse down near the North-South Dakota border. If you remember that trip, of course. And then us wearing our black fedoras going, well, this is a hearse, so we got to be respectful in case there's somebody in the hearse. So let's remove our hats and take a moment as we pass. So, of course, I'm driving, go around to pass, and take off the fedora, both of us. And I'm driving, passing both of us with the black fedoras over our hearts, looking over at the hearse driving by. Can you imagine what that poor driver thought?
No, I can't. But I'm sure it was good. And for anybody else who was listening to this, yes, Kidder jumped between his going to Vegas and coming back story without much of a transition. So,
who needs a transition? Those are the other logs. That's what those are for.
Well, no, I only say because I was listening and you were telling us you got to you switched back and forth, so back to him. So all of a sudden you were talking about going to Bismarck, and I'm like, wait, wasn't he going to Vegas? Did he? So
that's the old switcheroo. You never know if I'm over here, I'm over there, all over the place.
Yeah, Future Howard's probably put some note in, like, to help at least the visual viewers. No, I was going to say, Kidder, since you brought up that my executive director, he does this thing on Tuesdays and Thursdays. He does a walk and talk. So at 10 o'clock, he goes for a 15-minute walk of the Capitol grounds, and anybody can come and join. And it's kind of this group. You get to walk, you get to talk. We talk about different things. And on Tuesday, which was the day after the first episode of Kidder's Log aired, I joined him on the walk and talk. And it was me and him and IPA Rob. We were the three on the walk and talk.
Okay.
And we're going, and he goes, so you're a friend who went to Vegas. Did the engine really blow up on his plane? like, yes, it did. And IPA Rob, who clearly hadn't caught that particular episode, but he's one of our audio listeners, so he didn't see it. He's like, wait, what? What are you guys talking about?
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, caught him a bit off guard, so kind of filled him in on it, such. So, hey, Kidder, last week we started this 3-part riddle
Yes.
that we're giving you. So last week, the clue I gave you was 3 plus 1.
Mm.
So I figured I should give you the second part to the riddle.
Okay.
So the second part is, let me make sure I got it right. This is what they do when a movie is successful.
Hmm.
So that's the second clue.
Okay.
So let you ponder that. And next week, I'll give you the third and final part, and we'll see if you can solve this riddle.
Okay.
So,
Sounds good.
yeah,
We'll see.
We'll see. I want to get it in there. And one last kind of thing I wanted to touch on, Kidder, way back in episode 2 of the podcast, we were talking about what we were watching, and I mentioned that I was watching a show called 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown, which was a cross between 2 UK shows, one being 8 out of 10 Cats, which is kind of a comedy panel show, and another one, Countdown, which is this kind of puzzle game show. And they combined as a special and such. Well, on this show, it's hosted by Jimmy Carr. They had 2 team captains. One was John Richardson. The other is Sean Locke. And it's kind of the sad news of the week. But Sean Locke actually passed away this week at age 58 from cancer.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. He, for those who don't know UK comics, he's a comedian, very funny, very intelligent, very quick-witted. One of my favorites on the show. So it was sad news to hear. So I've been watching a lot of little tributes and such to him, as some of the channels have played some of his better moments. And I will put a link down in the show notes to one of my favorite segments from 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown, which was a little side game that they did called Carrot in the Box. And it was pretty funny. And so I'll include a link in the show notes so that anybody who wants to check this out can check it out. And is good. I also recommend, and I'll include this one too, there was a rematch of Carrot in the Box, which was also good. So put those in. But yeah, it was some sad news of this week to hear that he had passed. So it'll be greatly missed, in that show just won't be the same without him. So it's kind of sad news.
Sad. On a, I guess, lighter note, if you'd like to end on a not so depressing note, Lower Decks, Star Trek Lower Decks, the animated series by the co-creator of Rick and Morty, premiered. And in fact, the second episode became available last night when this recording takes place. And it's on Paramount Plus. And even you would like it, because Mike McMahon throws in all kinds of Easter eggs and little spoilers and references, if you will, to pretty much everything. So if you are a fan of The Trek, even if you're just a casual fan, you'll hear various references and whatnot. Very interesting to get to watch, and or in fact, rewatching the first season and leading up to, the second season. Rewatched the second season premiere that we got to see at the con, but then the new episode and whatnot as we continue there. Also, did not make a note of it, but remember how we were watching Star Trek Voyager all the way through? You don't remember? You're shaking your head at me.
I'm shaking my head because your transition was, hey, for a high note, and immediately you go lower. That was a lower note. Lower decks.
Just in title. Terrible. You're just mad because you don't like Star Trek, and it's better than Star Wars.
I don't say that I hate Star Trek,
but
okay. Star Wars is better.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I think the poll results showed what's actually better.
Star Wars, because Star Trek is full of cheaters.
No. It's people who can use a computer correctly. Maybe that's why. They always in Star Wars you had to have like a bot to be able to do it for you. As far as I know, no bots were used or abused in the direction and filling out of this poll. It was all human interaction.
That explains why they can't read directions.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you what everyone who watches the show was doing when they went on that poll. But thanks for watching or listening and taking part in our Star Wars versus Star Trek poll. Mm-hmm. The good news, aside from Lower Decks premiering the second season, is that before the con started, which was my guarantee to the missus that we would finish the entire series of Star Trek Voyager, I was correct. And we finished the entire series without skipping any episodes or fast-forwarding any episodes. So, there's that. I was happy. It was kind of depressing because, then the series is over. And it was interesting as she goes, we should watch Deep Space Nine again. And I'm like, it's a very good idea. So, there's that. Happy note.
Well, Kidder, I'm out. You're out.
I'm out.
We've been talking for quite a while.
It's been
time,
long
I
enough.
think, that we wrap this thing up.
Put a nice little tidy bow on this here show. Okay, so let's see what we can talk about with this here show. Some cheap plugs. First of all, visit our website, beerbluesbs.com, and you can buy us a beer. If you do that, you can, buy us a beer, 2 beers, 3 beers, 20 beers, a new computer, whatever. We appreciate it. And you write a note in the comments there, and we'll give you a shout out right here on the show. We might even make a special graphic for you. We have the technology. Also, we would love for you to join us on Facebook, Beer Blues and BS. Just search us on Facebook or type in facebook.com/beerbluesbs and give us a thumbs up if you would. You can also comment on the posts there and view all of our shows because they're all linked right there in one convenient location just for you. Aside from that, we're all over the place on all of those podcast locations. Google Podcasts, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, Stitcher, TuneIn, IMDb, Player FM. And if that wasn't enough, go visit us on Podbean because that's really where it all starts. That's the magic right there on Podbean. You can go to beerbluesbs.podbean.com. Check us out right there for some of the latest episodes. And if that wasn't enough for you, well, you can also visit us on YouTube. Just search Beer Blues BS on YouTube, and you could see these wonderful episodes, the Kidders Logs, the other bonus episodes, and many, many other wonderful clips, including the past 22 episodes in full length for free. I mean, You can't beat that, right? I mean, it's free. You don't even have to pay for it. That's pretty freaking awesome if I have to say anything. I mean, seriously. How about something else that's free? The KRDN Eyewitness Weather Now 24/7 weather stream. In fact, a couple tornado warnings earlier today there, Howie Blues. The Jamestown to Fargo to Grand Forks, a little triangle, if you will. There was a confirmed touchdown and a couple funnels that were sighted. So tornado warnings, and they were live streaming on the KRDN Eyewitness News 8 weather stream. That's the KRDN Eyewitness Weather Now channel. Twitch.tv/KRDN Eyewitness Weather Now. Conveniently placed right here on the screen if you're watching the video version of this here podcast. So, for all of that, thank you for joining us once again. Before I break the microphone right here, let me move it out of the way. Appreciate you joining us for another episode of the Triple B with a couple of good brothers. We don't know what's coming up next week, so we can't give you a preview because it hasn't happened yet. But I will say it's going to be another awesome show. We're going to have more sweet information. We should have done our SummerSlam picks tonight, but we were both too lazy to find the information and put the matches together. So that might end up being a bonus episode tomorrow, which will end up probably showing up before this does. But we don't know because that's the space-time continuum. Yeah, just figure it out. Join us right here. Set your notifications. Click the thumbs up. Thanks for being part of the show. For him, he is Howie Blues, the Howard Blues. I am the man, the myth, the legend, the Mark Kidder. Thank you for joining us for this and any of the other episodes of Beer, Blues, and BS, the Triple B. Free beer tomorrow, and we will catch you again on the next edition of the Triple B right here down this old dusty Tuscon highway.
You have been listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and BS. If you enjoyed the show, help others find out about it by rating the show or leaving a review at your podcast listening service of choice. Thanks for listening, and may your glass never be empty. UA Productions presents A Glimpse Behind the Curtain.
How about I just do what you did and present it? That would make so much more sense. It's our website.
Hey, Kidder.
Huh?
Our website that we talk about every week.
It's our website.
It made it on the podcast before the gentleman from Indiana.
That didn't take much, though, because, he's got too much other stuff going on. He's too busy for us. Or something. I don't know.
I know. I feel like we have been talking about this website like it actually exists.
Oh, boy.
And it hasn't actually been live, but it's live now.
Oh, it's live.
It's working. It's live. I am actually, that right there is beerbluesandbs.com. It's up. It exists. The links work.
Well, holy crap.
So,
now I need to go to beerbluesbs.com and see for myself.
yeah.
Well, holy crap! It works! Woo! That's great. It's there.
Yeah.
And
It's
there's
there.
a video of beer. Wow! This is bitchin' technology! The beer! It's on the page! And it keeps getting filled up. This is the best beer ever. It keeps getting filled up. This is great.
Yeah.
The episodes.
And even The social media stuff works on the one side. Yeah, episodes. As our latest, so the one that came out just tonight, Taste and Brill Grease.
I see that, yeah. This is great. And that on the beer on the bias of beer page too, it keeps getting filled up. You put the beer in the bottom and it comes out the top. This is great. This gets filled up again. Wow.
Yeah, but did you see what's right above that beer, Kidder?
It glitched out. Did you something about
did you
the
see
beer?
what's right above the beer?
The bias of beer? Click bias of beer. Look at that. You know, $3 is awfully low for a beer. I was just in Las Vegas, and let me tell you, some of the alcohol rates in Vegas.
Well, you know,
I kid.
Bias of beer is more for like the person who just wants to support the show, and you know, it's yeah. So I figure when you look at that, is it really enough to cover a cost of a beer? No, but that's okay. It's just kind of a fun way for people to donate and participate and be part of it.